chief operating officer of a consulting company in New York. Nothing to do with wine. You know, women started coming into the workforce, believe it or not. I mean, most women either were nurses, secretaries, or teachers. And it was, yeah, the 70s were a changing time. And I just happened to be in a company that recognized that I wanted to do more.
From the corporate world, you decided you want to go into wine.
It's more my passion for farming and having a farm and gardening. And
so you had this dream of having a big garden, a farm.
I knew I was going to have a farm somewhere and a vineyard, but where that took me, I don't think I had. Dream. Yeah, that was just really me 4 years in the U.S. taking flights to Sacramento to take some weekend course at UC Davis on viticulture, and then some wine chemistry and winemaking. You know, the great thing about this system there is that they have weekend courses, and they have a 3-week, actually a really amazing 3-week wine executive course as well. It's more about marketing. But anyway, I came here in 2008 to do harvest at Sorgfleet, and then I found, sort of with the idea in my head that I was going to maybe see if I could live here, because I really wanted to dump my life in the U.S., my job. Yeah, just me shooting off emails to random people, and Neil was the only one that said, sure, we'll find something for you to do. Show up on January 21st. Wow. So I did. And I'm not sure he was expecting someone of my age, but he didn't have an assistant winemaker. Yeah, and Neil was really supportive of me. You know, it wasn't like, I think he's more of a smell it, taste it, listen to it kind of a winemaker, as opposed to a super technical winemaker. So I think he gave me confidence that
more from the heart, from the gut. By the book.
Experience it and understand it. But I think what he appreciated was he had someone to taste with in the cellar.
Why this farm? Why did you purchase Protea Heights?
Well, other than I think it's the most beautiful farm on the planet.
Well, it's actually just turning around, looking at that view answers the question pretty much. So beautiful.
It's beautiful, and it's also a big garden. You know, it kind of goes back to that whole thing.
The whole garden that you were dreaming of.
It's more of an arboretum because of the trees. There's so many trees here.
And it was a Protea farm. It still is.
It still is. So I have 8 hectares of flowers. And it has a history. It was the first farm in South Africa to actually cultivate
Proteas.
Yeah. So from a historical perspective,
it's got a story as well.
Yeah, exactly. So then started the journey of planting vineyards, and just trying to do something, probably because of all those courses at UC Davis, really trying to do some really different plantings here, not necessarily the varieties, you know, because now I have the untrendy Bordeaux varieties here, but I thought it was appropriate for this valley. Exactly. Yeah, it's a work in process, so it's like a garden. I view the vineyards as a garden, and it's trying to bring the farm back from all of the pesticide use and misuse, really, of the farm. The only thing that prevents us from being certified is we've got leaf roll virus all around us. And to try to tackle mealybug, you kind of have to just do something about it. You can't wait and hope that the wasps do their thing. So, I mean, we do all of those things, but we also, when we see a problem, we use a chemical occasionally. But, mulching and cover crops and high-density plantings, and recognizing now that high-density plantings use more water. This year it really came home to me that the water issue is a big thing for us here. Because it's a living thing. It's I don't think until you actually have a farm you realize it's this thing you want to keep it going and somehow make it prosper. Well, one of the projects that early on was because there were 5 families here living on the farm.
Yeah.
Was buying them property and building homes for them so that they could be their own homeowners. That experience was probably the thing that made me want to leave. That I could, because I didn't understand. That didn't translate into something they thought was a good thing. They viewed that as a negative thing, and that I was kicking them out. And but I think now that they are living in Jamestown and they have their own lives, and their kids have real jobs and they're not in this farm worker mentality. It's pretty cool to see that.
Much better off.
But now I've taken those cottages and made them part of the guest house, so it's made the whole farm financially sustainable. Yeah, but learning flowers, learning wine, learning viticulture, learning hospitality of the guest house. Yeah. It's a big thing that it's definitely taken me a while. A lot of it is because I was naive on how difficult it is to sell wine. I just had, the feel that I was going to be successful in whatever.
You get an absolutely amazing track record for your Chenin. How do you do that?
I used Johan Viljoen as my viticultural consultant. And when we were trying to figure out where and what rootstock and what clone and everything, he was the one involved. And I had this idea that if I found some old vine Chenin, that it would be easier to market this Chenin. But I wanted it to be from some really unique site, but I didn't really know what that meant when I said that to him. So Johan said, I know exactly where you need to go. And so he brought me up to Hank Lang's vineyard. And it was just like, how is this even possible? Because it just doesn't even look like anything grows there at all.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. It's
very unique.
It's a beautiful farm. It's really peaceful there. It's high elevation, so you have these awesome views, and you can feel the cool breeze.
Cool breezes from the coast.
And that's what, something is different about the weather there as well. And
because there's not a lot of vineyards there.
No, there's only, I think, 4 farmers that have vineyards on that
specific hill or little mountain. And the rest...
There's just rooibos tea and
sheep and citrus on the other side.
And some potatoes.
So with your first Chenin you got Platte 5-star. And then again and again and again. And
5 of them,
5 of them. And for how many vintages?
Oh God, I think I missed 2, so 5 out of the 7.
5 out of 7.
Yeah.
Well, that is pretty awesome.
You know what the biggest shock was actually? Was when I got the 5-star for the Semillon.
Semillon.
It's
the best wine ever. Oh.
I'm passionate about Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
And there's a farm in Elgin where I was getting this Pinot Noir from. So, in the back of my head, I've always wanted to make Semillon, but everyone tells me you cannot make it because nobody buys it. So you're just going to get stuck with it. So being sensitive to having lots of wine in a warehouse, I didn't really want to do. But when I was talking to him, I thought, I really want to just try just 2 tons or something, just see what I can do. So he's like, yeah, I'll give you 2 tons. You just show up with the crates and we'll make it work. Honestly, because the Chenin, the Chenin is a special place. That's a special...
You always think that the Chenin, you get it because it's from Sturfberg.
Yes.
But the Semillon
was
you.
It's just the farm. I think I was lucky because the 2015 vintage, everything had these beautiful acids. And so I had the ripeness, but the acids were there. So I just, a whole bunch press and stuck it in a barrel. And it just...
Old barrel?
Old barrel. And I kept thinking in the back of my mind that I'd use it as a component of some sort of white blend.
Okay.
But then when I tasted it,
It's just too good to use.
Why would I blend this away? This is so awesome. It was a complete surprise to me. I mean, I really had no expectations of what it was going to be, other than I knew I wanted it to be fresh, but still have ripeness, not green.
Yeah.
It made me feel legitimate in a way.
Okay. Now I really earn this.
Yeah,
I can do this.
Yes.
I've made it.
Because there is a part of me that doesn't feel 100% legitimate in what I'm doing, because it's not what I come from. I think, the next challenge for me is to actually have something from this farm become 5-star. That's my goal
up till
now.
now the 5-star wines were brought in grapes.
Yeah.
Back to your roots in Boston, New England. Food that you grew up with. What is it that you miss most now that you're here in South Africa?
I think the thing that I miss the most actually is like scallops and lobster, which you eat, the seafood part.
It's different from here.
Yeah, because lobster is different than
West Coast crayfish is very different from.
So I do miss that, clam chowder, and those are the things that actually are New England and make me feel like home.
And if you could get it here, which wine would you pair with it?
Oh, Pinot Noir. It would always be Pinot Noir. Not mine necessarily, no, but some, Russian River, Sonoma Coast, Pinot Noir. Yeah.
Amazing.